JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding Wednesday, February 11th, 9/16 on this fine Jobs Day Wednesday. Odds. I can't remember the last time the jobs report came out on a Wednesday, but talk quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. The January jobs report came in record, right? Who's coming up? Besson saying a smash, a blowout earnings report, jobs report. Uh, so unemployment rate ticked down from what 4.3 to 4.4 to 4.3. 130,000 jobs created versus a 65K estimates. And then I think there was backward revisions. Average hourly wages went up. So to me, you didn't want to see a crazy number like 300,000 jobs created, but hotter than expected. Market likes it. So futures, that I guess the whole narrative or story that's been created around the possible recession from AI, right? AI is going to supplant all these jobs. That hasn't happened. The government shutdown, right? I mean, still waiting for that to have this huge impact on the job report. That hasn't happened. So, and then you have like, I mean, this has been forever since ever I've watched inflation or any data reports. People don't trust the data ever, right? And I mean, there's reasons to not trust the data. But I mean, even 10, 15 years ago, people used to say, oh, inflation's hotter than the number is. But here we are, 15 years later, everything's fine, right? Uh, so we'll see. It doesn't matter. Who knows if the numbers matter, regardless if they're accurate, not accurate. To me, I'm just here to trade the market. So this is what the market's giving us. We got a gap higher here. Hopefully it holds. 693, the big spot. We were at 693 right at 8:30 when the data came out. Uh, yeah, it'd be nice to have a solid green day here today. Yesterday, frustrating. I would say frustrating, but markets to highs at 10:30, and then someone just, I wouldn't say they hit the sell button. It's like the buyers just decide, okay, we're going to stop buying, and markets melted lower, chopped around in a very tight range in the afternoon. So kind of like a boring session. And then right at the end of the day, we had a little pull. And you can make the case that if there's some surprise in the jobs report or weaker than expected, that there would be all somewhere back in sell mode with software and Bitcoin and all that fun stuff. But not the case so far. We'll see. Some concerns yesterday is that if the software sell-off was over, I wanted to kind of see some reversals in some of these software names. And we saw Oracle, it's had 2 nice days in a row. We'll see what happens here today. Nice little spreadsheet here from JP Morgan. I don't know who put this, but talking about some names that probably are going to be disrupted less than some of the other names in the software space or not disrupted at all. I don't get these cybersecurity names. It's like, how is AI? Are you going to create a security platform that you can replace some of these other companies that are doing security for these large corporations? I don't get it, but anyway, so that's a little chart there. We'll see what happens here today. Hopefully, markets find some footing. We can talk about some other headwind outside of software this week. The other thing, too, you look, Bitcoin is starting to kind of like melt lower again. So it was 66,000 in the early hours. It's bounced here about 2 grand, but still sitting here in the 60s. All these people talking about, oh, when it was 120,000, 200,000. Here it is even lower. Where it's a 50%, it's on sale 50%, and no one's buying. So that's the thing that concerns me a little more. But anyway, we'll see how things go out here. To me, I kind of like consolidation, not too crazy a rally, and maybe we have that for a couple weeks, and that would be an environment where we can find some plays that can bounce and run, right? So, all right, that's overall market 693, big spot on the SPY. Also the upper Bollinger Band, which why don't I have it here? 700.25. So if we get up there, maybe that provides a little bit of resistance. Obviously, the 700 handle is going to do it anyway. All right, that's overall markets. Just quick on individual names. Align, this might be the last day I talk about Align. Still have the last of my 195 strikes. They were up over 1,000% at points yesterday during the day. Market makers are playing games. I keep talking about the bid ask on the 195s keep going from at times there were 5 cents on the bid, right? So be careful. I mean, obviously, if you trade options, never ever ever set a market order. Always do limits, right? So to me, it'd be funny if you put a market order. Will you get filled at 5 cents, even with the contracts at times being $3 in the money? Not a experiment I want to test, but we'll see what happens here today. I have one thought that I'm just going to hold the calls till Friday, and if it gets a gap fill over 200, maybe it gets to 210, crazy stuff, right? The other thought is I'll lock them in and just add some spec calls into next week. The 210s look decent on a risk reward basis, so if there's continuation, those can in turn, especially if it breaks over 200 today and runs, those could be a couple 100% to the upside. So I might do that. But great move so far after earnings. And then you look at this chart, and to me, it's almost like you don't even have to look at the stock or the earnings. It looks like if you just said this company reported earnings, you could say, wow, the market's repricing the stock. And maybe the repricing is not over. And maybe it's substantially higher, it gets repriced. So don't think the market's pricing or at least the option market's pricing in a move to 220 and beyond. So don't be surprised I have more strikes there. All right, so that's a line with this boring market the last couple days. I wouldn't say boring, but me trying to find some names to trade has been tough. Especially with the chop, all it's doing is killing premiums. Finally got an end phase yesterday. It's a name I've been looking again, and I was actually looking pre-earnings last week. I missed that, right? But here it is. Maybe it's another opportunity. Look at this consolidation, sits into earnings, and it's every morning it opens in the green, and it's going to open in the green here today. And it's like someone comes in and sells it. I don't know if someone has some kind of program in, and it's a short, and they say, "Yep, at the open, sell the highs." That's what it looks like if you look at the chart. Maybe this is a day they don't sell the highs and this thing takes off. 20% short interest. You know my thoughts here on the energy and solar sector. Just I think the same with Solar Edge. It's another name that I think is just going to explode at some point. So not going to talk too much about those names. So I finally got those 60 strikes. I might look for some other calls on strength today. If it goes to, I think 52.50 was the highs yesterday. Was it 52.25? So it gets over that today. I might look for some other strikes to play for follow through. And the 60s look inexpensive, especially with a week's time. You got a week and a half. I think it's plenty of time for it to go. All right, so that's Solar Edge and phase. Other names I'm looking at, Reddit was all the way over 150 yesterday and then chopped around and held there. At some point, this goes on a $30 rally. I don't know if it's now. You'd start looking at this chart. I mean, horrible sell-off from the highs in January, right? It was 265, 270, I think it hit. And then it's like someone hit a button. And if you had that software list, Reddit should be on that list from JP Morgan. Not that it's really a software name, but to see it sell off, no, it's like no one downgraded the stock. There was no catalyst. And you have to think at some point, I've been saying this for a while, there's going to be some announcement in regards to an agreement, in regards to their data, whether it be with OpenAI, Anthropic, one of these names. Google re-upped their deal. Anyway, so that's Reddit. And then other names I'm watching, there's earnings this week. Obviously, Roku reports on Thursday. 120 strikes for next week look interesting on a risk-reward basis. Grab them today, maybe. If it has follow through, locks them in, cover costs, ride the rest into earnings. Also, why don't I have this up here? INSP reports. Don't have this chart up here. Also, Frog, right? Frog is on that JP Morgan list. It's one of my top 5 stocks. That's a name that really shouldn't get hit by software, right? It's kind of like the gateway between these creators and like the App Store and doing updates. And there's more things that it does. But that one's sold off and it's got some upgrades recently. It's still well off its highs. Why don't I have the chart here? But it has earnings this week. The issue with Frog, only $5 increments and only monthly strikes. It's like the worst case scenario if you're trying to find decent risk reward strikes on a stock. It kind of forces you into a position. And I don't want to be forced to pick a $5 increment just because it's convenient. So I might have to pass and wait for earnings. We'll see on that one. Other names, Shopify, right? I'm staring at last week in the 114s. I probably should have went and got some spec calls into today to play into this week. Some 150. Who knows what the 155s were last week? Sure enough, it's gapping higher here today. $2 billion stock buyback. I want to try and trade it for upside. I just don't want to chase it. So maybe I'll wait for the dust to settle. But that's a name maybe revisits 170, 180. I was talking about it all last week. I'm like, how is this thing selling off with the rest of the software names? Makes no sense to me. But anyway, trying to fight the market, right? Market's just saying, hey, we're going to sell it off. It sold it off. Losing argument. So that's it, folks. We got 5 minutes to open. Hopefully a good day today. CPI is Friday. What am I missing here? Earnings after the close. I think Cisco. Yeah, but this week feels like a kind of market gets the training wheels off. And I would love, to me, chop between 696 and 700 in the next couple of days. And then I think that'll create an environment where some of these names that have sold off can rally. If that happens, I think you'll see me be a lot more aggressive this week. All right, so have a great day. I'll be back. Rock and roll.